seen through the years the tendency for us to sit down as medical people or school people and say, this is what we do, this is what we do, and impose that without taking that breath first and saying to the parents, who exactly, what, explain your child to us, or even asking the child, observing the child, taking the child in more before we approach with all the ways we can fix. And as caregivers and as people, I think it's a real slippery slope about when we become good caregivers and good helpers, and we sort of run over the people. And children don't have a large voice often. So I really want to talk about that.
And Cyndi, we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a real short PSA, so hang on to that thought. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Can you tell which of these children was not born free? Can you tell which of these children was not born equal? Can you tell which of these children does not deserve to be treated with dignity? We can't either. Human right number one. We are all born free and equal. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
I'm Roxanne Coleman-Herrick, back again with Good Medicine. We're going to pick up where we left off, Cyndi. We have Cyndi Marie Elliott here with us, and we were talking about how the wanting to fix people and change people really hasn't been working all that great. Can you pick it up from there?
Well, I think it begins with good intentions always, and there have been a lot of people doing a really good job. I think it's just it's a tendency to flip into fixing. It just sounds so blatant, but that's what it can feel like sometimes. It's like we're not mending people to make them normal, or there's a tendency for that whole normal range. And I have a real personal issue with that, with my brother being so wonderful, and if somebody came into my house and said, no, we need to make them more socially appropriate or normal, I would be a little defensive, because I think our role is to facilitate what a person needs to make them as productive and happy in who they are. So I'm just starting the conversation. I'm not saying we need to stop and start a whole new. I think we just need to bring in more of that ability piece.
So in a perfect world, what is it that you envision? Where would you like to see this particular awareness? Where do you want to see this go?
So where do I dream of my own job, my own purpose? Mm-hmm. I would say I would love to go out and inspire people to think a new way. I would certainly love to acknowledge people that do have conditions. And I would love to publicly speak, and I would love to speak to medical facilities, school facilities, high schools, junior highs, really anywhere anyone will let me in. And I just want to talk about it. It's so exciting for me, and it's so precious to me. And I think parents really can take a sigh of relief if they can hear some of my stories. I'm a parent, and so I get it, but I just want to share my story and help. And so I am putting together agendas for speaking, and I am in the process of making a website that will have all that information on it.
And what will that website look like?
What will it look like? Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to have pictures of my brother and inspiring little stories. It'll have, like I say, speech agendas. It'll have it'll have updates about how my toys are doing, and it will be called wholeheartedkids.com.
So on Wholehearted Kids, you have a small W and then the whole, HOLE, and then heartedkids.com.
Right.
So how did you come about the small W and emphasizing the whole? Is this David?
Yeah, that has to do
Speaking
with
through
the
you?
hole in his heart. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because like I say, he brings me right around to being whole because of that hole in his heart. So it's pretty symbolic.
Cyndi, I think this is something that I'm really hoping people that are watching out there today will be thinking, this is a really, it's inspiring. These stories are just so inspiring.
Thank you.
And I think we need, I don't know if we need, I'd like to see, and I'm sure a lot of other people would like to see more nurturing our differences instead of focusing on our difference.
Right, right.
Because that kind of puts up some barriers and some walls when we have the mindset that we have to fix, we have to treat every person who's a little bit different from us. So I think this is, hopefully this will go far-reaching besides this program and the audience, that are listening to this program today. So what we talk about, your dreams and your visions for the project, and you've done some you're getting some national attention now, aren't you?
Well, I'm getting a local attention, and I've had an article in the Missoulian and the Beacon, and then I just recently was published again, the Beacon article in the Apostrophe magazine. I really love this Apostrophe magazine. It is all about abilities. It's very positive. It's put out by Aware and Anaconda, and you can view it online, apostrophemagazine.com. And so my article is on, I think, page 26 or 28. But there's also, there's an ad in here about it's put out by Macy's, and it has a woman who obviously has some cognitive differences, and she's in advertising their clothing. And first time I saw that, I wept. I wept because, like I say, when I was little, my people would look away from my brother, and they didn't know what to do with him in their minds. And so that was a long time ago, and it's so beautiful to see that advertisement. And that would be my dream, that there's no the differences aren't so obvious, and that we're all different, and we all remember that. And they are a reminder that we have flaws too, and we all need to just remember that and be humble about it. So,
as far as your figurines are concerned, where would you like to see your figurines?
I would love to see them on the shelves of stores. I would love to see them affordable. I would love every child, if they want one, to have one or several, because this is and I was going to say that the children these days are so used to seeing kids that are different, because they're mainstreaming in the schools. Getting them into the homes gets the parents to be more comfortable almost, because we didn't have so much mainstreaming. So my dream is to have them very accessible, and also have them in schools, have them in hospitals, just have them just as popular as the other, mainstream figurines.
I think this is kind of funny, because I was just thinking back when I grew up, it was like Barbie and Ken and Cabbage Patch.
Remember how perfect
I
they
like,
looked?
and I love these. I would much rather have one of these than any Barbie or
I
any
kept trying to
Cabbage.
cut her feet down.
So it's kind of interesting, how marketing really targets how you're supposed to look, how you should look.
know.
If you're not thin, you're not in. It's like,
Yeah.
they have done they've made a miserable mess out of our world, because we do have people who think they have to look a certain way, they have to act a certain way to be socially appropriate. It's just bunk.
Yeah. I think that there's some great lessons in having a limitation, and that's a great compassion builder. And it's almost like sometimes it is amazing the impact of a limit in the body. And then you think about people that are getting injured, and we have a story lately. It's like, it's a very sad thing, but that person's life is going to lead them through a lot of interesting, not lessons, but opportunities to grow in areas they didn't know.
You know, when I think of Barbie, it's like the only thing you can really do with a Barbie is maybe change your clothes and comb her hair. It's like when you look at little Lily here with the broken arm, who's a dancer.
Well, and she's a prosthesis. She was born without a limb.
This is,
Roxanne. But
I mean, this is an education. I mean, to have that understanding, that education is to symbolically what this means to each one of us in our lives.
yes, yes, and to carry on and to just boldly continue. Talk about boldness. I mean, the kids that I've worked with have taught me so much about being bold. And so, yeah, that's a good point.
So, Cyndi, I'm really glad that you you came in today. If you had a message that you would like to share with our viewing audience, what would that be?
I think it's a lot about just look at the abilities. I mean, on my card it says, let's talk abilities. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about abilities. I get really excited about the abilities that grow from limitations, so-called limitations. Very gifted people. Very gifted people.
I'm hoping we can see a lot more of this, seeing you in our schools. I mean, really, this could be so widespread in how we teach and how we understand our unique, really, the unique and beautiful differences.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we can see you a lot more out here. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have another program to be continued with you because there's a lot more we haven't been able to talk about today.
Great. Can I show some other things I'm working on? Or that I
Absolutely.
do? This is what I do in my free time. I also like to express a lot about just my experiences. So this is about my brother. It says, take the time to see. And underneath, there's a message in a bottle, a key, there's jewels, and there's some poetry. And one of them is called Protected. How is it that as I lead your gentle hand, you are guiding me? So it's just some more of those quotes. And this is some more that I'm going to do some more art too. So hopefully, locally, I can have an art show and show some of this as well.
Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. It looks like we're getting ready to wind down on our program today. So if someone wanted to get a hold of you, is there a phone number they can reach you?
Yes, my business phone is 406-261-0931.
And we also want to remind the public out there that there is going to be a website that's in development right now, so be watching for that, wholeheartedkids.com. I'm certainly going to be spending some time there. What about your figurines? How can we help you to maybe get these out where?
Well, I am looking for anyone that has experience or can give me a helping hand on just some tips on how to do this process. I mean, I'm an occupational therapist and an artist. I'm not real schooled in manufacturing or there's ways you can take pre-orders. This is all new to me, so if you have any information about that, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Well, you've heard it. That's pretty much a wrap for today. I'm Roxanne Coleman Herrick, and Cyndi, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you. It was fun.
Good Medicine is your program. We hope you watch this and subsequent programs to stay informed about your health care. And we'd like to hear from you about how we're doing. Please direct any comments or suggestions you have to us. You can reach us at